What would you do if your boss slid a contract across the table that cut your salary nearly in half, right after you'd made the company millions? Would you sign it out of fear? Or would you smile, walk out of that room, and set off a chain reaction that would turn the whole company upside down? I'm Rachel Monroe. This is a story about quiet revolution, about being underestimated, dismissed, and then rising in a way they never saw coming. If you stick with me to the end of this video, you'll see how I didn't just survive, how I changed everything, including my life, my daughter's future, and the corporate system that tried to bury me. It started on a Monday morning. The air in the office felt off, too still, too polished. I'd been called into a meeting with Madison, the executive director who ran our division with the icy efficiency of a Swiss watch. When I stepped into her glass-walled office, she was already waiting, that smug half-smile curling on her lips. "We've been making some strategic changes," she said, pushing a manila folder toward me like it contained birthday cake and not a gut punch. "We're optimizing department costs. Everyone's making sacrifices. We're offering you a 55% reduction in compensation, but we're hoping you'll continue to be part of the Westway family." I opened the folder. My current salary, $92,000, 0 cents. Proposed, $41,400, 0 cents. It wasn't a typo. This was serious. This was real. I looked up. Madison sipped her tea unfazed. "This takes effect next month. We'll need your decision by Friday," she added, tapping her nail on the dotted line. I didn't speak. I didn't flinch. Behind me, through the glass, 3 other executives were watching like they were waiting to see an animal perform under pressure. I met her eyes and said, "I'll review it and get back to you." Then I stood and walked out, my fingers clenched around the folder. I didn't cry in the car. I didn't scream. Because the truth is, I saw it coming. They'd been laying the groundwork for months, excluding me from meetings I used to lead, giving vague reasons for restricting my lab access, making offhand remarks about streamlining roles. But what they didn't know was that I wasn't caught off guard. I'd been preparing. They thought I was a passive, overworked employee too buried in medical bills to fight back. What they didn't know, I'd been playing the long game. My name is Rachel Monroe. I'm 38. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm a single mom raising a 12-year-old girl named Avery. She's smart, curious, obsessed with sharks, and fighting a rare autoimmune condition that drains her energy, damages her organs, and demands a new treatment plan every 6 months. Insurance covers about half. The rest comes to me in the form of bills, co-pays, out-of-pocket meds, and doctor visits that never seem to end. Westway knew all of this. They sent flowers when Avery was hospitalized last spring. Cheap ones that died before she even came home. Still, I showed up to work every day, on time, often early. I'd spent 8 years with Westway Solutions. When I started, they were a modest chemical company with a weak client base and outdated products. I was a chemist with a passion for creating eco-friendly industrial cleaners. Within a year, I'd developed a biodegradable solvent that could cut through machinery grease faster than anything on the market. By year 3, Westway's industrial division had doubled. Year 5, they opened 2 new production facilities, one in Kentucky, one in Texas. By year 6, Avery got sick. The tests, the specialists, the treatment trials. It drained every cent of my savings. I asked for a raise. They offered a wellness bonus, a single check that covered maybe 6 weeks of expenses. I remember overhearing Madison at the holiday party that year. She was laughing with another exec about how my team generated 42% of Westway's annual revenue. She was wearing a diamond tennis bracelet that probably cost more than my car. That night, something broke inside me. I went home, opened a bottle of red wine I'd been saving, and dug through every page of my employment contract. That's when I found it. The intellectual property clause. It was standard. Any inventions created using Westway's time, tools, and labs belonged to the company, but the language was specific. Any and all developments made during company hours using company facilities and materials. That was the loophole. Because what Westway didn't know was that I kept a home lab, not some fancy university-grade setup, just enough gear to run small-scale experiments. I'd always worked nights, weekends, sometimes while Avery was sleeping beside me on a cot in the garage. I documented everything. Handwritten notebooks, time-stamped video recordings, materials purchased with my own money. Some of my best formulas? They weren't born in Westway's labs. They were refined there. The originals belonged to me. I'd already been meeting quietly with a patent attorney named Darius. We'd been working together for almost 4 months, me providing documentation, him preparing the filings. I handed him a flash drive with hundreds of files, proof of concept sheets, even footage of Avery helping me label sample jars. "We're ready," he said that day. 3 provisional patents filed last week. As soon as you give the go-ahead, we convert them into full applications. The formulas were top shelf. One could clean metal surfaces without corroding them. Another dried 3 times faster than the competition. But the crown jewel? A cold-gathered detergent that cut energy costs by 35%. Perfect for large-scale industrial clients. Westway hadn't even seen that one yet. So for the next 5 days, I played the part. I emailed Madison to ask for a few extra days to consider. I mentioned Avery's treatment schedule and feigned gratitude for the opportunity. Meanwhile, I was finalizing every document, every patent, every piece of leverage, because I wasn't planning to walk away quietly. I was going to leave with everything they didn't realize they'd already lost. By Friday afternoon, I was sitting across from Brett Carlson, head of research at Falconworks, Westway's biggest competitor. Brett had been reviewing my work since Darius first reached out. "This is innovative," he said, flipping through my proposals, "and clearly your own." He offered me a position as Senior Director of Research. Starting salary, $185,000. Full control of my own team, a dedicated R&D budget, and complete ownership of my intellectual property. "I'm interested," I told him, "but before I sign, there's something else we need to do first." That something else was a strategic takedown, delivered not with bitterness, but with receipts and calm precision. I spent the weekend putting the final touches on a licensing agreement, one that outlined in clean, bulletproof terms exactly what Westway Solutions would need to do if they wanted to keep using my 3 patented formulas. I had Darius review it line by line. He made some suggestions, tightened the language, and when he sent the final draft to my inbox late Sunday night, I stared at it for a good 5 minutes. Then I smiled. This wasn't revenge. This was leverage, strategic, legal, and completely on my terms. The next morning, I dressed with purpose. Dark green dress, neatly tied back hair, the pearl earrings my mother gave me when I graduated from MIT. Avery peeked into my room while I was checking my reflection. "You look like you're about to go into battle," she said. I laughed, something like that. On the way to school, she asked, "Are you quitting your job today?" I paused, then said, "I'm starting something new." She nodded like she understood exactly what that meant. I arrived at Westway's headquarters at 9:25 a.m., right before their weekly executive team meeting. The receptionist gave me a wary glance, but didn't stop me. I knew the elevator code to the executive floor by heart. When I reached Madison's assistant, she tried to block me. "She's in a meeting," she whispered. "They all are." I didn't stop. I pushed open the door to the main conference room. 8 pairs of eyes turned toward me in surprise. "Rachel?" Madison snapped, clearly annoyed. "This is a closed meeting." "It'll only take a minute," I said, walking to the table and placing a thick envelope in front of her. "What is this?" she asked, eyes narrowing. "Your acceptance of our offer?" "Not quite," I said. "It's a licensing agreement." "A what?" piped up Dale, the VP of Manufacturing. "For what?" "For the continued use of formulas C17, AX2, and the newly developed CW33, I replied. "All proprietary." You mean Westway's formulas, Madison corrected. No, I said, calm and collected, mine. Developed off-site, on my own time using my own equipment. I have extensive documentation, videos, receipts, lab notebooks, all dated and time-stamped. These 3 formulas were filed under provisional patents weeks ago. The room went quiet. I reached into my bag and dropped a second envelope next to the first one. This is a copy of those filings. Darius can walk your legal team through them. They looked stunned. Dale let out a disbelieving snort. You're bluffing. Try me, I said. You have 2 options. You can license the formulas from me at $4,500 0 cents per month per formula, which is exactly what you just cut from my salary, or you can cease using them, remove all current stock, reformulate your product line, and face the costs that come with all of that. Your choice. Madison was pale. You can't do this, she said. Actually, I replied, I already have. Dale muttered something under his breath. You're making a mistake. So were you, I said, thinking you could cut my salary by more than half and I'd just accept it. I turned to leave but paused at the door. I've already accepted a position with FalconWorks. They're giving me full control of my own division. And unlike Westway, they're excited to support my Colgatter formula. CW33? That none of you even knew about. Dale's jaw dropped. Madison's face twisted with fury. This isn't over, she hissed. You'll never work in this industry again. I smiled. Too late, I already am. That afternoon, I picked up Avery early from school. Did it go okay? She asked as she slid into the passenger seat. It went better than okay, I said. We're going to be just fine. That night, as she lay on the couch with her sketchbook in her lap and our cat curled beside her, I finally let myself exhale. The next few days were quiet, on the surface, but beneath it Westway's legal team was scrambling. On Wednesday, Darius got a call. They wanted a meeting. By Friday, they signed the licensing deal. All 3 formulas, locked in. But that wasn't the end. A week later, I got a call from Brett. We want to announce your hire officially, he said. Put your face and name on it. I agreed, and within days my photo and title were on FalconWorks' website, Senior Director of Research and Innovation. In the photo, I'm smiling, but it's not a passive smile, it's the smile of someone who just flipped the script. I thought that would be the final chapter in my Westway story. I was wrong. 6 weeks later, my phone buzzed while I was analyzing test results in my new lab. Unknown number. I answered cautiously. Rachel Monroe? A young woman's voice asked. Yes, who's calling? My name's Julia. I'm a junior chemist at Westway. I got your number from someone in HR. I stiffened. Why are you calling? Because we've all heard what you did. The licensing, the patents, and now they're trying to reverse engineer your formulas to avoid paying you. I closed my laptop slowly. Go on. They've got us working double shifts, running variations. When someone mentioned it might violate your patents, Decker, the interim legal head, said they just needed to tweak it enough to skate by the edge. I felt heat rise behind my eyes. Why are you telling me this? There was a pause on the line. Because it's wrong, and because my little brother's in the hospital right now. He has a condition kind of like your daughter's. I know what those bills look like, and what it feels like to be stuck somewhere that doesn't value you. After the call ended, I sat in silence. Then I called Darius. He wasn't surprised. Classic move, he said. They'll try to make the formula look different enough to dodge the licensing. We'll keep an eye on it, but you might need to build a wider moat. A wider moat? That night, I pulled out my old notebooks, not the ones I used at Westway, the ones from my garage, the original research, the ideas behind the formulas. Because if Westway wanted to play dirty, I was about to change the entire game. The idea hit me just after midnight. I was surrounded by notebooks and old prototypes spread across the kitchen table like a scientific crime scene. Westway was trying to clone individual ingredients. But what they didn't understand was that my approach had never been about isolated formulas. It was about systems, how each compound interacted with others, how their functions enhanced one another. They were focused on products. I'd always been focused on integration. And that's when the spark came. What if I created a full-spectrum cleaning system? A suite of complementary solutions that worked in sequence. Each component would strengthen the other. It would be harder to reverse engineer because the real value wasn't in the individual products. It was in how they worked together. I met with Brett and FalconWorks' legal team the next morning. I laid everything out on a whiteboard. How my 3 existing patents could anchor a new cleaning system. How additional formulations could be layered on top to create a synergistic performance model. How we could offer clients a plug-and-play platform that saved time, reduced chemical waste, and cut energy use. Brett leaned back in his chair, visibly impressed. "You're not just protecting your IP," he said. "You're building a moat around it so wide they'd need a helicopter to get across." I smiled. "That's the idea." Falcon's legal director nodded. "This gives us not just legal safety but a market edge. No one else has something like this." "How soon can we start?" Brett asked. "Give me 12 weeks and a dedicated team," I said. "You'll have a system no one else can touch." For the next 3 months, I barely saw the outside world. I lived in the lab, ate lunch over spreadsheets, dreamed in molecular structures. Brett gave me everything I asked for: 4 hand-picked scientists, a budget with no bureaucratic red tape, and full creative control. My team and I pushed the limits. We tested over 200 chemical variations, refining pH balances, adjusting polymer chains, calibrating formulas down to the nanogram, and when it finally came together, it was beautiful. We called it the Orion system, an integrated cleaning solution designed for manufacturing plants, hospitals, and food processing facilities. It worked in 3 stages: pre-treatment, deep clean, and protective rinse. Clients could reduce chemical use by 45%, save 60% on water, and cut cleaning time by nearly half. The first test client was a manufacturing plant in Indiana that had just ended its contract with Westway. Within a week, their maintenance supervisor sent us an email. "I don't know what kind of magic you folks cooked up, but this is the best cleaning solution I've used in 25 years. It's faster, safer, and our floors haven't looked this good since they were poured." The feedback only got better. Another plant reported that Orion reduced downtime between production runs by 30%. A food processing client praised the reduction in residue and the improved safety profile. Brett called a meeting. "This isn't just a product line," he said. "This is a flagship, and we need to move fast." The legal team filed for a fresh set of patents, this time covering the full system design, the sequence of application, and the methodology itself. Not just what we made, but how it worked together. A patent matrix so dense Westway couldn't even poke at the edges without risking infringement. By the time Orion launched publicly, word had already spread. 3 of Westway's top clients scheduled meetings with Falcon to learn more. 2 placed preliminary orders before we even presented the final rollout plan. And that's when Julia called again. "They're freaking out," she said the moment I answered. "Decker's yelling at the lab team. Westway just lost 2 big contracts. They know it's Orion. They've seen the specs. They're trying to pivot, but nothing's working. Also, Madison's gone." "Gone?" I asked, raising my eyebrows. "Fired?" "Resigned under pressure," Julia replied. "There's talk of financial misconduct. Some of the board members are finally paying attention." I almost felt sorry for them. Almost. But then Julia added something that snapped my sympathy right back into resolve. "Decker's trying to hire outside consultants to analyze your public patent filings and find workarounds." "Let them try," I said. "This time, they're not just chasing shadows. They're staring into a hurricane." That weekend, I took Avery to the state fair. It had been months since we'd done anything that felt normal. She won a plush dolphin at a ring toss game, then asked if we could get funnel cake for dinner. We ate on a bench under the glowing Ferris wheel, powdered sugar dusting our jeans. "You seem happy," she said, licking sugar off her thumb. "I am," I replied. "Work is good, really good. Are people still trying to steal your stuff?" she asked bluntly. I laughed, "Maybe. But we're way ahead of them now." She nodded like a tiny CEO. "That's what happens when you build the best thing and don't let mean people stop you." 2 days later, I presented Orion to Falcon's board of directors. I walked them through the system's design, the performance metrics, the potential market. When I finished, the room erupted in applause. Brett stood. "Rachel, you've not only built something revolutionary, you've changed how we approach research. The board's approved a special bonus for you." He slid a check across the table. When I saw the number, I blinked. It was 6 figures. "We believe in rewarding innovation properly," he said. "Thank you for showing us what's possible." And just like that, the revolution I'd started as one person had become something bigger. A shift in company culture, a shift in how value was recognized. But more was coming. I could feel it. Before I go on, now's a good time to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications. I've got more stories coming. Real ones, sharp ones, and I want you to be there for every twist. The next call came 3 weeks after Orion's launch. This time it wasn't Julia, it was Weston Marks, one of Westway's board members. His voice was steady, too formal. "Ms. Monroe, I was wondering if you'd be open to a discussion about potential collaboration between Westway and Falcon Works." My eyebrows nearly lifted off my forehead. "You mean the company that tried to cut my salary in half?" There was a pause. "Yes, that company. Which is now under very different leadership," he was quick to add. "We're restructuring, reevaluating. There's been a significant shift in values at the board level." It was clear they were rattled. Orion had shaken the industry. Clients were talking, Westway's credibility was eroding, and now they wanted in. The irony was delicious. But this wasn't about payback. This was about vision. I agreed to a meeting, with Brett and Falcon's executive team present, of course. The day of the meeting, I wore a navy blazer and the same pearl earrings from my showdown with Madison. The conference room at Falcon was bright, sleek, modern. Weston arrived with another board member, Sandra Vega, sharp-eyed and surprisingly candid. "We made mistakes," Sandra admitted early on. "We undervalued our people, especially our innovators. We lost more than just talent when we lost you. We lost direction." I kept my tone neutral. "So, what do you want now?" Weston leaned forward. "We'd like Falcon to consider acquiring Westway. We believe the combination of your innovation and their infrastructure could benefit both sides, and we'd like you to oversee the transition." The air in the room stilled. Brett looked at me, eyebrows raised. "What kind of authority are we talking?" I asked. "Full oversight of research and development across both companies," Weston said, "and a compensation structure that reflects that level of responsibility." Brett smiled faintly. "Sounds like they're finally ready to put their money where their mistakes were." Over the next 6 weeks, we negotiated terms. The deal would position Falcon as the parent company, with Westway operating as a separate brand under a new ethos. I reviewed every clause, every number. I wasn't just protecting myself this time. I was protecting future innovators. When the final contract was signed, I became the Director of Research and Development for both Falcon and Westway. Triple the salary I once had, complete creative control, and a direct reporting line to both boards. The first time I walked back into Westway's building under my new title, everything felt surreal. The receptionist didn't recognize me. The elevator ride to the executive floor was quiet, save for the soft hum of nerves and history. When I stepped into the main conference room, about 24 researchers were already seated, whispering, curious. Some I knew, some I'd mentored. A few had looked the other way when I was being pushed out. I didn't come to gloat. I came to rebuild. "I know this past year has been turbulent," I began. But today marks a new beginning. We're not just talking about change, we're building it. This will be a place where ideas are valued, where effort is recognized, where your work has weight, and your voice does too. I paused. Some of you stayed silent when things weren't right. Some of you didn't have the power to speak up. I'm not here for revenge. I'm here for accountability and for progress. The room was still. Then someone, one of the newer researchers, started to clap. Others followed, a few with tears in their eyes. Over the next few weeks, I had one-on-ones with every member of the R&D team. I asked what they were working on, what they wanted to work on, what barriers stood in their way. The answers were raw and honest. Patents stolen, promotions denied, breakthroughs shelved because someone higher up didn't understand them. I documented everything, created new proposal channels, brought Julia on as a team lead. Her knowledge of polymers had already proven essential. We developed a mentorship program, a rotating leadership system, and a quarterly innovation bonus tied directly to product performance. It wasn't just a job now, it was a mission. At home, Avery was thriving. Her new treatment, finally covered by my upgraded health plan, was working. Her energy returned, she joined her school's science club and came home buzzing about experiments and hypotheses. One night, as we cleaned up after dinner, she looked at me and said, "You don't look tired anymore." "I feel lighter," I admitted. Like I finally stopped carrying something I didn't even realize was weighing me down. Then she dropped a bombshell. "Kendall at school said girls aren't good at chemistry, so I punched him." "Avery," I gasped. "He shoved me first," she clarified, "and I told him you were a chemist and you made better stuff than any man he's ever heard of." I wanted to be the adult to say violence isn't the answer, but a part of me, most of me, felt a spark of pride. "We'll talk about better ways to handle that next time," I said, giving her a high five. Meanwhile, Orion's performance continued, exceeding expectations. New clients signed every week. Industry publications began calling it the future of industrial cleaning. Westway's remaining clients began shifting to the updated system we were rolling out under the Falcon-Westway merger. We even rebranded. New labels, eco-certified packaging, and marketing that told the full story of how science and ethics could work hand in hand. As the system grew, so did our purpose. I proposed something new to the board, a research scholarship program for scientists who were also caregivers, people like me, those trying to balance home responsibilities with breakthrough ideas. Brett was immediately on board. "We needed something like this a long time ago," he said. The board approved it unanimously. We called it the Orion Fellowship. It would fund 5 researchers a year, offering stipends, lab space, and childcare support. When we made the announcement, the response was overwhelming. Dozens of applicants poured in, sharing stories that mirrored mine in heartbreaking, inspiring ways. For the first time in years, I didn't just feel proud of what I'd built. I felt like I was changing the system that once tried to crush me. Exactly 1 year after Madison slid that insulting contract across the table, I stood in my new office overlooking the Charlotte skyline. On my desk was a framed photo of Avery and our 2 dogs, Birdie and Scout. Next to it, a small glass plaque engraved by my team. Quiet power, loud results. That morning, I'd approved a new set of experimental trials, signed off on the next round of Orion expansion, and finalized 5 new innovation bonuses. The culture had shifted. We had scientists who felt safe sharing radical ideas. We had a mentorship chain that supported, not exploited. Westway had gone from being the company that silenced me to the one that now celebrated every voice I'd once worked alongside. Avery had just finished the 7th grade with honors in science. Her health was stable, her curiosity blooming again. She'd announced she wanted to become a marine biologist, or maybe run a lab like yours, she added casually over dinner one night. And me? I wasn't tired anymore. I wasn't angry either. I was focused, fulfilled, and I was just getting started. That afternoon, I received an email from Brett. New Orion contract signed, our largest yet. Also, the scholarship announcement has gone viral. Prepare for press interest. Moments later, Julia walked in with a report from our sustainability director. You need to see this, she said, eyes lit up. The plants using Orion have reduced their chemical waste by 68% over 6 months. That's real environmental change. I read the report and felt it hit deeper than any award ever could. This was legacy work, not revenge, not survival, legacy. And then, one more surprise. Weston called again. Rachel, he said, we're submitting Westway for a National Workplace Transformation Award. We want you to present on how this shift happened. I paused. You mean the transformation that started after you'd tried to gut my salary? To his credit, he didn't flinch. Yes, exactly that, because people need to see how change can happen. From the bottom up, I agreed, but only on one condition, that the scholarship program got 5 more seats funded through the award campaign. He agreed without hesitation. At the national conference, I stood in front of a packed auditorium and told my story. Not just the fall, but the climb. I spoke about motherhood, about watching your child fight through illness while your employer weighs your value in dollars and cents. I spoke about long nights in a garage lab, about the fear of speaking up and the power of finally doing so, and I ended with a truth I'd learned too late. Your worth is not defined by those who benefit from underpaying you. It's defined by the impact you create and the courage you show when you decide enough is enough. After the applause faded, a woman in her 20s approached me in tears. I thought I was the only one, she whispered. I'm in a toxic workplace. My mom's in chemo. And I've been afraid to ask for anything. But your story, she paused. It gave me a blueprint. I hugged her. Start your own revolution, I said, even if it starts quietly. A chemist named Rachel was nearly forced into accepting a drastic pay cut while supporting her ill daughter. Instead of surrendering, she leveraged a contractual loophole, patented her independent research, and launched a career-defining product that disrupted the very company that underestimated her. By building an unbreakable innovation system, earning a leadership role across 2 companies, and creating a fellowship for caregivers in STEM, Rachel didn't just rise, she redefined the rules of the game for everyone behind her. If you were Rachel, what would you have done? Accepted the pay cut to avoid risk and protect your income temporarily? Bet on your talent and take the leap towards something better, even with uncertainty? Drop your answer below. I read every comment and your voice matters.